Hello, in this video, I want to show you how to do and analyze your portfolio analysis for your interactive brokers account. All right, so today I'm going to show you there's an app called Stock Penguins over here. You can go to stockpenguins.com and then you can go and register for an account for free. If you want to come into here on the left hand side, it will redirect you to the portfolio management page. Over here, you can press create new portfolio and then you can select interactive brokers. Okay, a pop-up will come up, and then basically what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to choose interactive brokers over here, and then afterwards you can press continue. After you press continue, you have to put in your query ID and your token, which is basically coming from your interactive brokers account. If you do not know where to find this information, you just click here, open link in new tab, and basically the API, you just need to go into your interactive brokers account. You just follow the instructions here, which is basically going into the settings, and then you just enable snap trade over here on your interactive brokers account, and then your token and then your query ID will be given to you. All right, so in my case over here, I've already connected my account, so I will not connect a new account. But you can also, if you can see, this app also supports Kraken, Coinbase, and several different other brokerages as well. Yep. Okay. So besides that, I've already connected my account here, so I can press view details. Over here, you can basically rename your account, right? You can just name it Interactive Brokers, personal, whatever it is. Like, it does not matter what you name it, but I've just named it my one Road to $10 million portfolio over here. Okay, in order to do the analysis of your account, it would generally take 1 to 2 business days for interactive brokers to actually pull that data into this app, Stock Penguins over here. But you can basically see the portfolio update and the performance over time. That's the first thing. You also can see it from a year to date, a 1 day, a 3 year basis, for example. All right, and then on the right hand side over here, you can see the total value, how much money is actually deployed in the market. So, and then how much cash I actually have. This is my unrealized gain and loss right here, and then I can see my top performers as well. If I scroll down, I can also take a look at what are the holdings. So what are the stocks that I actually have, and what is the percentage, and I can basically do some simple analysis of it. If I want to see a bar chart of this, it's basically this over here. So you can see this is my biggest holding over here, and then this is my smallest holding over here. Yeah, and then I can sort it from high to low, and I also can change the asset or the sector. So for example, you can see a majority of my stocks are basically in financial services, and then followed by consumer defensive over here. All right. So this is basically it. And then the summary over here is quite simple. It's pretty similar to this side over here, but you can see my year-to-date return, my unrealized gain. My ratios over here are not calculated, purely because I don't want it to be calculated. And then at the bottom over here, my holdings. So you can see what are the stocks that I actually have bought in the past. So over here, I bought Robinhood, for example. What is the average price? What did I buy it for? And then how much does it cost? And then how much is it worth now? Sorry. And then what is my profit? And then what is my total P&L as well? Right. So I've basically I don't have a lot of stocks in this portfolio over here, but you can basically see what my portfolio looks like. All right. And then if I go into the what if, this is basically the historical investment simulation section. Okay. What this is basically, basically you can put in the amount of money that you want. So for example, I have $450,000 in the past month or 3 months, for example. If I were to invest in treasury bonds, for example, I would get this return. If I were to invest it in gold, I'll get this return. If I were to invest it in Bitcoin, for example, I will get this return. Right. So you can basically do a comparative analysis of like, okay, I have this amount of money in my portfolio, and then if I actually bought these things, like how would I perform over the past 5 years, 10 years, 1 year, for example, right? So you can kind of see from a portfolio perspective whether it'll be better if I just bought the S&P, if I bought some bonds. You can see bonds are not doing very well over here. If I just bought gold, gold has been doing really well, right? Um, and if I bought Bitcoin in the short term, for example, obviously it looks terrible. But in the long term, somehow like Bitcoin is still outperforming everything else. You can clearly see that. All right. And then future projection calculator. What this basically does is that, for example, if I were to simulate something, so if I were to buy Apple stock over here, sorry, Apple over here, and then if I were to invest, for example, $50,000 into the Apple stock right here, right? And I'm thinking, okay, I want to sell my Apple stock. I bought it at $50,000, at my investment amount, for example. Um, and then I would say, what happens if my target price for Apple. Currently, the current price is about 245 right here. If I sell it at $350, okay, and then how long do you plan to hold the investment, right? Let me just calculate my projection over here. And on the right side over here, it'll basically show my expected returns. So what will my stocks be worth and how much profit will I earn? So if I were actually to sell it and the stock price actually goes to 350 in 1 year's time, right, then I will have an annualized return of 42% over here. And then I've made about $21,000 in profit, right? And so you can see basically that is the projection of the share price if it actually increases to that amount, for example. So this is very, very useful, especially if you are doing projections, especially if like you're thinking about, okay, I want to buy this stock at this price, for example, or this is currently the price, right? If I want to exit at that position, what is that position? Okay. If I change this to market cap, for example, right? So I'm thinking, okay, I know that the current market cap here is $3 trillion, for example. But if I were to change it to 6 trillion, oops, sorry, right? So if I were to change this, I'll just copy this amount. Let me just key that in instead. Okay, so three, I'll just put four. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's a lot of zeros right there. You can see if Apple actually hits a $4 trillion market cap, right, in 1 year's time, right, you can see that's the same projection right here. But yeah, you can basically play this around. So if you're thinking about what market cap will I exit at or what price am I going to exit at, then you can basically play with this option right here. Yeah. All right. Besides that, if you are a dividend portfolio investor, you can basically also do this analysis right here. So this one over here will analyze your dividends. My current portfolio does not have a lot of dividends, and that's why it looks very, very pathetic. But if you are a bit of an older side, or if you're a bit more risk adverse, you like dividends more, for example, right? Then you can see how much dividends you're getting. Obviously, here I earn very little amount of money from dividends. But if you are a dividend investor and you earn $3,000 to $5,000 per month, that's fantastic already, right? And then you have your portfolio yield here, and then the app will also tell you exactly what is the price. What is the amount that each company is giving you? So, for example, Google is paying about 20 cents per share, Microsoft is paying about 90 cents per share, AMD is paying about 0.1 cent a share. But yeah, the dividend growth rate and stuff like that. Okay, so if you do actually have dividends, then you actually see something here. I don't really have a lot of dividends, and then yeah, all right. And then if we go into the metrics portion as well, what metrics is basically you're able to kind of map what are the returns that you generally have achieved over the past year. For example, this is my year to date, against gold, against Bitcoin, for example, stuff like that. So you're kind of seeing like how does the Bitcoin price move according to the returns that you're getting. So if I want to see, okay, is my portfolio correlated with the Bitcoin price? So you can see here, generally, yes, it's like, okay, it's kind of correlated where Bitcoin kind of moves similar to my portfolio, right? If I change it to the S&P, yeah, it's kind of the same thing. S&P kind of moves to my portfolio. I believe gold is the opposite. So gold is a safe asset. So if people are buying gold, for example, I think the returns are generally asymmetric, like counter to my yes. So you can see like despite my portfolio going down, right, gold is still going up. So it just tells me that yeah, like it's kind of uncorrelated in a sense. Gold is an uncorrelated asset right here, right? So you can go and play around with this stuff right over here, and then the total return you can see the percentage is over here as well. And then returns, what returns is basically is trying to break down for you or give you analysis of what is actually in your portfolio. So in your year to date, for example, there's my unrealized gains, my total returns, etc. And then the app also breaks down for you, okay, what company actually contributed majority of the gains, right? So you can see here, this one, it's like, okay, this stock right here represents about 40% of my portfolio, but it has generated me about 49% of the returns. So to be fair, I am being carried by one stock. Majority of my gains are coming from one stock, basically. Robinhood over here, 35% of my gains are coming from this over here. And then Fidelity Bitcoin here over here is generating 13% of my gains. Okay, so you can kind of see like who is kind of carrying you in this, carrying your entire net worth, and then who is like detracting. So like Amazon, not so good, man. Like, yeah. Although I do have a very small position in Amazon, it's not very big. And then once again here, there's portfolio holdings. right? So this is important for you because you kind of want to identify your winners, right? I can clearly tell that these two companies here are the winners. So I definitely want to hold on to them for the long period of time because if they are winner now, I don't foresee them losing over the period of time. But the stuff that's not making you money, for example, right, and you may want to sell it for tax loss harvesting or stuff like that, you may want to consider doing this as well. Yeah. All right. And then lastly, there's the leaderboards. So basically, a leaderboard is if you are willing to share your portfolio. Okay, so I'm willing to share my portfolio to the rest of the members on this app, for example. Then you would see what is the leaderboard here, right? So I mean, I'm on this leaderboard here, for example, and then not many other people have shared their portfolio. But once people start sharing, then you can see and you can kind of compare your portfolio to my portfolio, right? If I'm also able to click into someone else's username, and then I should be able to see what positions they hold, for example. Okay, this one is completely anonymous, so you would not know who actually this person is. For example, you can see here, this is a public snapshot of the portfolio. But yeah, we do not know who this person is, and then it's just showing that data, for example. Yeah. So this is a rundown of basically how you can analyze your IBKR portfolio. But if you do have any other brokerages, you can basically put them as well. Okay. This one over here, unsupported holdings. So I bought a company in the Japanese stock market, and basically this app does not support it just yet. So that's why it's called unsupported holdings, excluded so far. Yeah. Besides that, there's one more thing. If you do have multiple portfolios for some reason, you can also add multiple portfolios. That is not an issue, right? However, if you only have one portfolio, just like me, yeah, then there's no problem with that. Like it will just show one portfolio right over here. Yeah. Hopefully this is useful for you. Check it out. The app itself, you can try it out for free. You can register for an account, but you can go to StockPenguins.com and do an analysis of your own portfolio, and then you kind of get more insight into your actual net worth portfolio. What are the strategies you can use? And also, if you want to try the other stuff in the app right here, you can also research about stocks and stuff like that. Yeah. Hopefully, this is useful for you, and thank you so much.